Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, now on YouTube, and I'll be reposting to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. If you feel you need a therapist, please go to Google, type in therapy, your city, Psychology Today will pop up, click on that, and it will have all of the therapists in your area. Also, the views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. Okay. So I decided that the best way to get some Q&As done is to do a pre-recorded video because I get so many questions coming in and I can't answer everything. So I'm going to try to knock out the rest of these questions and I'll post this up, and then hopefully I'll be able to do another live Q&A video, and that way I'll be able to answer everybody's questions in live real time, which would be, you know, nice. So, okay, so the first question is, this might help another person. The comparisons from narcissists. Why aren't you more like so-and-so? My mom did that with friends too, not just people within our home. How screwed up is that? Yeah, that is really screwed up. So they do. So narcissists are all about comparison. They're all about, you know, competition. And so they will compare you to your little friends, you know, when you're a little kid. And they'll say, why can't you be more like Vicky? Why can't you be more like Kelly? Why can't you be more like, you know, this person or that person or, you know, this other person? And they'll favor them, and they'll lavish attention on the friends and completely and totally ignore their own children. So yeah, they do this. And think of it this way. They do that. They give more attention to strangers than they do to their own children because the children are a part of them. And since they hate themselves to the core, if they cannot love themselves, there's no way in hell they're going to love something that's a part of them, if that makes any sort of sense. So yeah, they absolutely play favorites, and they absolutely compare from, you know, friends, other siblings, total strangers, etc., 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 etc. So there is that. I hope that answered that question. Okay. Nope, that's not a question. Hang on. Okay, I have a question for you in regards to the last Q&A live stream I caught. First, I want to say thank you for all your advice that you've given on NPD. You've helped me out more than once out of a complicated situation. Thank you for your advice. I appreciate your channel so much. When I have other friends or family ask me questions about NPD, I send them to your channel, but you had discussed in your video that an NPD parent would have a fit about someone going to therapy. And that is what happened to me. At the beginning of this month, my father discovered I was in therapy and he lost his mind. He even went to the extent of showing up unannounced at my doctor's location and demanding to make a family appointment with my therapist. I ended up having a severe panic attack that sent me into hyperventilation, and I found it challenging to calm down. What would you recommend the best form of attack when it comes to fighting back against something like this? Okay. All right. First of all, you don't tell your abuser you're going to therapy. You just don't, because they're going to interfere, obviously. And I have had abusers show up at the office because the spouse has told them, you know, or the grown child has told them I'm in therapy, or the spouse has said I'm in therapy, and they will show up demanding to be let in. And they think that because they are the parent or the spouse that they have an absolute right to barge in on sessions, demand to know everything that's going on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the truth of the matter is there's a funny little thing called HIPAA laws. So when somebody comes to my office and demands to know whether I am their counselor or not, I say, I'm sorry, I cannot say one way or the other. I can neither confirm nor deny because of the HIPAA laws, which are the privacy laws. So I cannot tell you yes or no, I'm sorry. And of course, with a narc, that sends them through the roof because how dare I not comply with their immediate demands to know everything right now. So basically the way you short circuit that is you don't tell them you're in therapy. It's none of their goddamn business. It really is not. So what you want to do is if you are in a situation for whatever reasons that either the spouse or the parent needs to know that you're in therapy, and I don't even know what those situations would be, you know, maybe if they're paying for it, or maybe if you're living with them and they're wanting to know where you're going, make up something. I'm going to the doctor's office. I'm going to go get my toenails done. I'm going to get my hair trimmed. You make something up. Abusers do not need to know that you are in therapy. They just don't. So basically, your therapist should be the one that's guarding the gate, basically, and laying down the law. So like I do when people show up unannounced and demand to know information or demand to set a family therapy thing, I'm just like, I have the right to refuse service to anyone I want to. So guess what? No, I'm not. I'm going to refer you out to a family therapist. If you're interested in doing that, here's her number, here's this number, here's that number. See, what they're doing is when they demand family therapy, when they know you've been seeing somebody singularly, they're pissed because they don't know what you've been saying about them. And they know that you're probably telling them your truth, which means that they're being exposed. So what they want to do is they want to come in and manipulate the therapist so that they get their side of the story in so that they're not the bad guy. So here's the deal. When a counselor is working for an individual, they are working for that individual. When a counselor is working for a couple, they are working for that marriage. They're working for that marriage. When they are working for a family system, it is for the entire family system. So if somebody is starting with somebody individually and this person comes in and demands a family therapy session, no, that is a total conflict of interest, especially if there's abuse going on. So if, however, the client says, you know what, I would really love a family therapy session because I'm strong enough and I'm ready to tell this person to go fuck themselves sideways. Okay, well, let's look at the pro and cons. What could happen if you do that? Are you prepared for this? Don't expect them to magically get it and suddenly apologize and be dad or mom of the year. You go over all the pros and the cons, what the dangers are, what everything is, and if they still want the therapy session, then you schedule the therapy session. If, however, you've scheduled the therapy session and the person talks it out with that other person and everything seemed to go okay in session, but then they get home and this person uses everything that was said in session against them, no, you don't fucking do that. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like if somebody's an abuser, they're an abuser. Family therapy is not going to change them into becoming sane. It's not. It just doesn't happen. So I discourage people that if they tell me that their family is an abuser, I'll go, no, not doing it. Nope, not interested because they're going to use it against you. They're going to use it against you. So, yeah. So basically, you need to let your therapist know that your family member is abusive, and you need to not tell your abuser everything. This is the biggest mistake that survivors of abuse do, or that targets of abuse do, is that when they are in the middle of the fog, the fear, the obligation, and the guilt, they feel the need to tell the abuser literally everything. And then the abuser will set about to sabotage. So you got to get out of that obligation to tell them everything. They don't need to know. This is a need to know basis. If you're working on you because you're being abused, they don't need to know because eventually you're going to get away from them and you're going to need a safety plan and you're going to need to get the hell out of there. So basically the way to short circuit all that is not to tell them that you're in therapy. If say, for example, they find out, let's say that they followed you. That's happened before too. So they follow the spouse or they follow the family member and they realize that they're in therapy. The person's nuts. They come storming in, demand to be let in. Obviously, I have a receptionist, so they're the front line. They go, they come back and they go, well, so-and-so is here. No, no, I'm not here. Tell them to go away. I'm not interested. I'm not playing this game. Nope. They cannot come into the session, whatever. So God bless receptionists around the world because they face crazies. They do, especially in the mental health industry. So, yeah, that's the front line of defense is the receptionist. But you don't tell them you're going. If they do find out, if they follow you or whatever, then it's up to the therapist to protect you and say, no, you cannot come in on this session. I'm sorry. I can neither confirm nor deny that this person is even here. Please go away or we will be calling the police. So, as far as the panic attack is concerned, that is to be expected. When somebody barges into a session or tries to barge into a session or barges into an office or, and then their therapist has to say, hey, I got to let you know, this person showed up demanding family therapy or this person, or do we need to file a restraining order? Are you safe? Is everything okay? Do we need to document this? What, do we need to call somebody? Do I need adult protective services? Do we need CPS? What's going on? There's all sorts of stuff. But when that happens to an adult and you have a panic attack, that's normal because this person has just violated your boundaries and has just violated your privacy and is attempting to control your therapy sessions because they're pissed that you're alone talking and they don't want anybody to know what they're doing. So they want to know exactly what you've been saying. So the best thing to do is just draw your boundaries, don't allow it. If you're living with them, they're going to harangue you and harass you and sabotage and make sure you don't go to therapy. That's what these people do. When they find out you're in therapy, they're going to start attacking the therapist. They're going to start saying that the therapist is incompetent, the therapist doesn't know what they're doing, the therapist is this, the therapist is that, especially when they start seeing you draw boundaries and not allowing them to continue to abuse you. If you are living with an abuser, the best thing is to get the hell out. Get out. You're going to need to get out because they will sabotage your ability to go to therapy. I've seen them do heinous things, slash tires. They'll do that, in order to keep you from going. And now you owe money for tires. So now you don't have the money to go to therapy. They're crazy. I cannot state that strongly enough. These people are batshit crazy, and they will do anything they need to in order to keep their supply going. And especially if it's a toxic parent, they feel they have the right, they're entitled to control your life. So that includes you as an adult going to get therapy. If you're living with them, get the hell out. Get the hell out. Call social services and figure out a way to get the hell out so that you can continue to go to therapy and be safe, because these people will undo everything that the therapist has done. Whew, boy howdy. I hope that answered that question. All right. And then the panic attack is normal when you've been violated like that. A panic attack is normal. And basically the only way to calm yourself is to breathe and to remind yourself that you are in control, they are not, and they don't have a right to do this. And you don't let them. And if you're living with them, like I said, you start making your safety plan, you get the hell out. If you're not living with them and they did this, then you may want to take a look at maybe getting a restraining order, because that's crazy behavior. That really is. All right, so there is that. I hope that answered that question. Hold on. Did that get that? Yes, that got that. Let's see about that. Okay. Okay, toxic parents. Hang on, I know there's a question in here somewhere. Okay, so when you're with toxic parents and things happen when you're kids, it's pointless to hold on to the anger that happened when you were children, because we were all just coping with abusive and horrific situations. Yes, I agree with that. Having said that, though, the golden child is the youngest in our family and is a sociopathic hot mess. I think she's a total borderline turned dark triad, and I absolutely cannot allow her around me or my family. The other thing I wanted to bring up was the struggles of parenting when you haven't really been parented. I'm working with a therapist, but is incredibly adultified and parentified as a child. So it's incredibly difficult to know what a normal kid behavior is. What is normal sibling rivalry? So, okay. That's a good point. So when kids have been adultified and parentified, or the converse, infantilized, they don't know how to be parents because there was no good role model. So what is normal sibling rivalry? Well, it's not wanting to kill each other. There is a little competition, there is a little jealousy maybe, but there is never that pathological hatred that the narcissist or the malignant borderline will cultivate and encourage. And so the kids don't get to the point where they're like, at each other's throats. They'll they may be snarky with each other. They may hit each other occasionally, in the beginning anyway, until you tell them, no, that's not okay. We don't hit, that kind of thing. It's the same thing when dealing with anybody. It's like, there's boundaries. And in a narcissistic environment where there are roles to be played, there are no boundaries, okay? And the sibling rivalry is actively encouraged and it's fostered, and that's not healthy or normal. A normal parent swoops in and goes, okay, you two, knock it the hell off. You are brother and sister, and I'm sorry, but there is no getting out of this. You are with each other until you're 18. Figure it out. It's like, stop hitting each other. I'm not putting up with this. You go to your room, you go to your room, or you go to that corner and you go to that corner. And we're not going to do this. I'm not going to allow it. That's what a good parent does. They protect the children, sometimes from each other, but they don't encourage or foster the sibling rivalry. But a narcissist does, because their whole world is about comparison. Their whole world is about competition. Their whole world is about, I'm better than you and you need to be better than this. And then they get the kids to fight each other and, oh, who's the golden child and who's the scapegoat and who's the comedian and who's this and who's that, and who's gonna play for my attention. is what they do. So, yeah, I mean, you do understand that stuff happened in the past for a reason. However, once we're adults and we're out of the situation, either we've worked on it or we haven't. And if we haven't, and we're still doing those same fucked up behaviors of competition and comparison, and I'm better than you, and I'm going to hurt you, and I'm going to play games. No, you don't need that. If that person is doing that, if you were not related to them, would you have anything to do with them? If the answer is no, be done. So there is, whoa, there is that. Okay. I have a lot of anxiety about parenting wrong. I read a lot of books so that I have some kind of idea, but kids don't always follow the books. I try to see what their peers are doing and how other parents handle sibling conflict, but I don't like to compare because that's just a bad road to walk down. I'm really trying to end this cycle, but honestly, my kids fight a lot, and I often don't know what to do about it in a healthy way. Well, you just don't let them. It would be like with anything else. It's like if the behavior is inappropriate, you stop it and you give them new behavior. It's like, okay, I don't want to see this. What I want to see is this, and I'm going to help you do this by modeling for you how to resolve conflicts. So if you are not in therapy, I would strongly suggest getting into therapy. The other thing I would strongly suggest is get into some sort of parental support group. Because here's the deal. When we have been raised by disordered people, we do not pop out of the womb knowing how to be a good parent. We have to learn it. So maybe some parenting classes would be good. You know, maybe some parental support groups would be good. Maybe it would be good to go talk to other parents. You know, there's no shame in going, you know, I was raised by Neanderthals and I don't know how to do this. How do you do this? There's nothing wrong with asking for help. So, and it doesn't mean anything other than you don't know what you don't know, and you know that you don't know what you don't know. And so now you know that you need to ask for help for the things that you don't know. So that would be my suggestion. And really the healthy way, what you do is you always make sure the kids are safe. You always are truthful with them, and you let them know what behavior will and will not be tolerated. You know, what's okay, what's not okay. Anger is normal, yes, but if you're sitting there beating your sister or your brother because you're pissed, that's not okay. You know, so you teach them ways to deal with their emotions in healthier ways. And that's where the parenting classes often will be very useful. The Women's Resource Center is a great resource for that. There's also, trying to think, Women's Resource Center, and I know they have parenting classes through that. And I believe the Women's Resource Center is nationwide. So, all right, there is that. Okay, hope that answered that question. Really, we're going to make mistakes as parents. We are. Everybody does. Everybody does. And usually in a healthy situation or with a parent that is striving to do the best they can, the kids will be fine. Where the kids are not fine is if there's an abuser involved and the parent is not striving to do the best that they can. The parent is in fact striving to harm as many people as possible. That's when the kids are not going to be okay. But if you're doing the best you can with what you got, and the kids know you're doing the best you can with what you got, and you're honestly trying to make the best decisions, and you're educating yourself, the kids will be fine. The kids will be okay. Just be honest with them and let them know, I'm not going to accept bad behavior. I'm not going to accept abusive behavior, not towards your sibling, not towards anybody else. So there that is. Okay, I think that answered those questions. Let me see if I can find any other questions on here. Okay, I finally plowed through all of those questions. All right, so now that I'm all caught up, I will start doing YouTube live chats, and this one's pre-recorded, obviously. But I will start doing YouTube live chats whenever I can, when I get a bunch of questions in. I will also start doing the show on YouTube starting on Sundays. Not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, I will start doing the show live on YouTube. So, and then I'll post it over to Facebook. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Those are all the questions. That was quick and easy. That was awesome. 20 minutes or so. All right. So if you are interested in sending in questions, you can IM me on Facebook on the We Need to Talk thing. And that's it. All right. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.